Hi, this is Anna with Finance on the Offense, and today I'm going to go over investing, how it all works. We'll go over 3 examples and a few things you need to know. And this is talking about just normal investing. It's not like retirement investing like a 401k or a Roth IRA. With normal investing, you can get your money out anytime. By the way, I also want to mention that I'm not a finance professional, so everything in this video is just for entertainment purposes only. All right, let's get started. Example number 1, long-term index fund, aka low medium risk buy and hold. So let's say I decide to invest in a total stock market index fund. So this would be something like SWTSX, VTSAX, or FSKAX. These are all total stock market index funds. The first one is held by Schwab, the second by Vanguard, and then the third by Fidelity. And I want to hold this fund, meaning not sell it, for at least a year. If I sell it at a year or less, I'll have to pay short-term capital gains taxes on the amount I made. The short-term capital gains amount is quite a bit more than the long-term capital gains amount, which is what I would pay if I wait to sell over a year. Okay, so the first thing I would need to do to invest my money in a long-term index fund is go to one of the brokerage firms like Schwab, Fidelity, Vanguard, and there are plenty of others, and start an account there. Then once the account was up and running, I would add money to that. You can either send a check or you can just do an ACH transfer from a different account. So let's say we're going to add $1,000 to our account. Now, once you put that money in there, it's not actually invested, so you need to buy one of these funds that I just talked about. Let's say I decide to buy 10 shares of SWTSX when the price just happens to be $100, so I have 10 shares at $100, which equals $1,000. Now I'm invested in SWTSX. After a few years, the price of each share has gone up to $150. So now my shares are worth $1,500. I decide to sell, so I do that online, and when I do, that $1,500 comes into the cash part of my account, and I don't own the shares of SWTSX anymore because I sold them. Now I can pull that money out, maybe send it to another account, but I need to keep in mind that I will have to pay taxes on the gains. So the amount that I made, which is the $500, not the $1,000 that I put in, but the amount that I made over time, the $500. And since I waited at least a year, I have to pay the long-term capital gains tax. Long-term capital gains is going to vary based on how much money you make and a few other factors, but it's a pretty safe bet to just assume it'll be 20% of the gains. That is a totally safe bet. I'm pretty sure you won't be paying quite 20% on it. So 20% of $500 is $75. So I'm going to stick that in an account somewhere where I'm not spending it. And then when tax season rolls around next time, I have to pay that $75. Now, $75 doesn't sound like that much, but if you made a lot of money with your investments, that amount, the long-term capital gains amount, can be very high, so you don't want to be surprised at tax time. So put that $75 away, and then you have $425 to spend just however you want, plus the original $1,000 if you want to spend that too. Example 2, long-term stock, aka kind of risky buy and hold. For this example, let's say I decided to buy Tesla stock about 5 years ago. I didn't really have a plan or anything. I just thought Elon Musk is the greatest thing. Maybe he's like the next Ford or something. So I buy a bunch of Tesla stock 5 years ago. The steps are exactly the same. You'll need to go to a brokerage and start an account if you don't already have one. You can use the same account for each of these examples. You don't have to get like 3 accounts if you wanted to do each of them. The next step is to put some money in. For this example, we're also going to use $1,000, and we'll buy enough Tesla stock to completely use up the $1,000. So let's say it's at $50 a share, and we're going to buy 20 shares. So that equals $1,000. Fast forward to today, and now the stock price has jumped to $1,000 a share, from $50 a share to $1,000. So my 20 shares is sitting at $20,000. I decide to sell all my shares, and I do this online, and the $20,000 goes to the cash part of my account. And of course, because I sold it, I don't own Tesla stock anymore. Now, the reason this is a higher risk situation than the first example is because we just focused on a single stock. With the first example, we were totally diversified because we were owning the whole stock market basically. But in this second example, we're owning just a single stock, and that company can go bankrupt or they can do great like Tesla has or whatever. But it is a more risky situation. But anyway, we sold our stock. The $20,000 comes into our account. And now we need to set aside some money for long-term capital gains tax. And I'll want to set aside 20% to be safe. 20% of $19,000. Remember, we put $1,000 in ourselves, and then that $1,000 turned into $20,000. So the gains are $19,000. 20% of $19,000 is $3,800. So I can just withdraw all the money, stick $3,800 in a savings account somewhere, and then next tax time, I will need to go get that money out and pay the tax man. But the rest of the money, the $16,200, I can spend any way I want. Example number 3, short-term stock, aka gambling. Let's say we want to invest in some GameStop stock. Now, GameStop is a great example of a short-term buy and sell stock. I don't really trust this company. I don't think they're going to make it for very much longer. I'm hoping to get in now. Hopefully the price will triple or something like that in a few weeks, and I'll immediately sell and get out. But this one is super risky. It could just as easily go to zero. So I'm back in my account that we made in example 1 and 2, and this time I'm going to put $500 in there. I'll buy 5 shares of GameStop, which is $100 a share, so $500. And then GameStop goes through its crazy ups and downs, as it has been for the last year and a half. And by the way, if you want to see a video about GameStop, I actually made one about what was happening back then, and that'll be right up here on your screen. Anyway, let's just say in 2 months, the stock price of GameStop hits $300 a share as we had hoped. And so now our $500 has become $1,500 and we decide to sell. Now, since I sold within a year of buying it, I'm going to have to do short-term capital gains tax. That amount is quite a bit higher than long-term capital gains, but we can set aside 38% of our gains. So in this case, we made $1,000 and we want to set aside 38% of that. We can put that in a savings account somewhere and spend the rest of the money that's left over. So that's how investing works. Basically, you can buy your investment, hope it grows, and then once it gets to a certain point, you can sell it. Just keep in mind that you will have to pay taxes on the profit portion of it. All right, if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, just hit the subscribe button and the little bell next to it, and you'll be notified every time a new video comes out. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.